Hello everyone. It's kind of windy today, so you might be hearing some wind in the background, but I'm trying to get this video out before I go to work. Today I want to talk about domestic violence and children. When children grow up in a home that has domestic violence, they can either become very passive or very aggressive. No two children are the same, and what one child does when they witness a domestic situation may be total opposite of what another child will do. Now, I'm not in college yet. I don't have my degree. I'm not a counselor. This is just basic information that I have come across or witnessed in my own life. When a child witnesses the abuse from one parent to the other, a lot of times they mimic that. And they become aggressive with their siblings or their friends in school. They like to bully them. They end up making bad grades. They have trouble sleeping. Sometimes they wet the bed. They have nightmares. They need to sleep with the light on. They feel like they need to carry around a stick or try to hide a knife or something so that they feel like they can protect themselves, especially if they feel like the other parent isn't going to be able to protect them. Now, I'm not saying that the other parent doesn't want to protect them, because usually that is the case. They do want to protect them. But some of the children that I've talked to and stuff that have lived in domestic violence say that they feel like they have to protect themselves because the other parent is too busy trying to live and trying to protect themselves, and they can't always get to where they can protect their child. So the child takes on that responsibility and begins to want to protect the other parent as well. This sometimes leads into hating one parent and loving the other more, which a child should always be able to love a parent no matter what that parent does. This is not a video about love, because love is something that we either just do it or we don't do it. And we can love people that have committed heinous crimes and still not approve of what they've done. Just like we can hate somebody that goes out and does the best for the world, and that's not because of what they're doing, it's just because, we hate that person. But the other side to this is the passiveness. Some children that are in a domestic home will be so passive that they become a victim of bully. So they go home and they see their parent being victimized and bullied, and then they go to school and they become the victim of a bully. They don't think it's okay to stand up for themselves or stand up for others. They think that they just have to take it because that's what they see. They don't see the other parent trying to get out or make an escape route or stand up for themselves. And I get that, because it's very hard. It's very hard to do that. And a lot of times when we are actually in the process of doing that, we don't stop to think, well, maybe we need to tell our kids that, we are working on it. We're not just taking it, but it's a tricky situation. So it has to be done a certain way. Sometimes the simplest explanations to a child works best. But of course, if you're making a getaway plan, do not inform the child. Just do not. You can reassure the child that everything's going to be okay. But do not tell the child, oh, well, we're taking a train at 3 a.m. and, we're going to Las Vegas because, later on that evening, that other parent starts in and the child will be like, so can we go ahead and take that train early? It can cause a major situation. But when it comes to children being in domestic homes and stuff, it's okay to not tell them everything, but in my opinion, they should be informed that you are working on it, that you know it's not okay, and that you will protect that child. Because when they get into school or daycare or whatever, you know, they're going to think that it's okay to just be bullied, or they're going to think that it's okay to be the bully. It goes both ways. And it's okay to seek a counselor for your child, even if you do not want a counselor for yourself. It is okay to seek a counselor for your child and tell the counselor, you know, I'm in a situation, I'm trying to get out, but my child is having nightmares. Can you work with my child on ways to get rid of the nightmares, or how to stand up for him or herself, or how to not be a bully? You know, let them watch YouTube videos about how being bullied makes somebody feel if they are the bully. Have them join a karate class if they are being bullied, because karate is not about fighting. It's about self-esteem and self-control and just not putting up with the bullshit. And then the fighting skills come into play if they are physically being harmed. Those are just some random options of things that you can do to help the child benefit from a bad situation. Once you get out and you get moved in with family or friends, or your apartment, you know, just you and the kids, ensure that the kid that everything's going to be okay. You're going to be safe. It's a new home. It's full of love. Keep a nightlight on. It doesn't matter if they're 10, 12, or 15 years old. If they feel like they need that nightlight, then keep that nightlight on. Don't force them to turn it off and face their fears alone. Let the child know that you're there and that they can talk to you openly about how they feel. When that other parent goes to jail, which usually happens at the end of a domestic situation, make sure that the child knows it's their choice if they want to go and see that parent. You know, don't force the kid to just go to the jail and see their other parent through a window. They may require it, like, depending on your state, if the other parent has any type of custody. I have known to where one father actually had to take his son to see his mother while she was in prison because they had a custody order that away. But check into your local laws, and if it's not a requirement, then just easing the child back into a normal everyday life would benefit the child greatly with emotional and mental stability. Their physical well-being will also improve once you have left. But the main part of this video is just to listen to your child. If you hear them talk about being stressed or being scared, reassure them that it's going to be okay, that you are doing what you can to make sure that the child is safe, and as well as yourself being safe. Because from what I have seen and what I have talked to some children and my own personal experience, the child will most likely blame themselves. They will think it's their fault. You know, they didn't pick up their toys, so their mom or their dad is beating up on the other parent. They didn't make a good grade, so that's why one parent is mad and taking it out on the other parent. It's a really big world out there, and so many children and so many possibilities of what they can be thinking. And you're not going to know that unless you talk to the child and you help him or her understand that you know it's not okay what is happening, and that you are working on it, and that your main goal is to make sure that you and the child or children are safe, and that they always know that they are loved no matter what. And if the child wants to visit the parent, you can always make it a supervised visit, a public place, McDonald's, or a police station, or whatever. You do not have to put yourself at risk for that parent to see that child. If the child does not want to see that parent, if they've had their fill of it, you can go and get a court order. You can find a lawyer with legal aid or something that will do a case really cheap, and you take full custody with no or with supervised visitation, and let it be up to that child. I mean, in Oklahoma, a child at age 11, I believe, can state whether they want to see the other parent or not, and the judge will, go with the child's request. But if the child is younger than that, sometimes the judge will go ahead and listen to them, especially if there has been a lot of abuse. It just kind of depends on the judge and the state laws. But there's always a way to ensure the safety. And your best bet is to just get out and tell the child, tell them straight up that you love them and that you will protect them. And then help them move away from their nightmares, move away from their aggression or their passiveness, or whatever is going on with that child specifically. Read books, look on the internet. You can always find examples of ways to help a child that has witnessed a lot of domestic violence. And don't just assume that your child is going to, be one way or the other. They may be aggressive later in life if that's what they witness, or they may be passive. But don't just assume, because assumptions get us nowhere. Each child is an individual, and they may go through some rough teen years and then turn around and become a doctor or a lawyer. You never know. Or they may be so passive during their teen years and then go rob a bank when they're 25. You never know. So do not assume that because of the domestic violence your child is going to be one way or another. I would say it's a possibility that, later on in adulthood it won't even really affect the child, because that is a possibility. But for the most part, children raised in a domestic home do have something that either holds them back or makes them want to go. And, for me, it's activism. I want to stand up for those that can't speak for themselves, because I spoke for myself when I was 11 years old. And I got the judge to order me not to have to go back. And I did that on my own. I went in and I was like, I won't stand for this anymore. And the judge listened to me. So from 11 years old, I have stood up for many different things, but especially, abuse. And not just domestic abuse, but abuse in general. And, maybe your child will too. Maybe your child will become this great little activist. Try to reshape their future and reshape it with love. Reshape it with love. That's the best advice that anybody can give to anyone. Reshape the child's past with love for the future. I will talk to y'all later.